there we go. I'm even wearing the new shirts today.
There we go. I'm waiting on mine.
It only yeah, I know. It only took us like a year to get them. So I don't know if anybody at your guys's businesses have this problem, but like sometimes a process takes a ridiculously long time and then it takes longer. And I think I started the process of getting these last year in January.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, I've got your box over here. I just need to stop by. I should have.
It hasn't even shipped yet? I've been waiting.
To me, and now I've got to ship them to you, evidently.
I came back from lunch today and I saw the FedEx truck leave, and I was like, "Ooh, my shirt's in yet?"
No, they're sitting on my orange chair right there. So the funny thing is, when the order came in, all of your shirts came in, only one of mine did.
Yeah, well, priorities.
Well, maybe by this time next year, I'll have the rest of my shirts. So, anyways,
yeah, that's what he's waiting on. So we got comments coming in.
I think I'm going to show off something today before we get started. So one of the advantages the rest of you guys get with subscribing to the Humanized IT framework is fireworks. Fix that one these days. I'm showing it off dinner day, and evidently I must have turned on the Sprite. No, that's not the right screen, people.
No.
How about I just do this? That's the right screen, right?
There we go.
Yeah. I switched around my monitors, so evidently the hardware IDs are different now. So the new stylation, and I would love feedback from people on this. Skip and I haven't even talked about this yet. I just got this for about 40 minutes ago. So the new style of the reports. So obviously new header, but I had our marketing company go through and put a new style to everything, and it looks sexy. I'm excited about it. Maybe it's just because it's new. I'm excited about this, but if you look down, I mean, the fonts are different. The layout is more structured. It's got a little bit more of a grid feel to it. So as you get down in the template, you're going to see like a little bit more smooth transition. This is more professional guidelines. And then you get down and you get like a nice little write-up area down here. So you don't have to use all these sections, but the style guide is there. So now you can decide how do you want it to look without having to go through like advanced editing features. It's already going to be in there. And this is all due to Skip saying, "Hey, Adam, we need something fancier. I want something that looks nicer." And me scratching my head going, let me throw it to the marketing guys and see what they come up with. And this is what came back today. And, you know, this is nice because when we talk about Humanized IT, we want people to not have to worry about the details that you're doing on the back end. We want you to print out the report and have a very nice professional look and feel. And in that way, you outshine your competitors and you can stay focused on delivery. So just if you guys have any questions on this or have any like feedback for this, I'm happy to incorporate any of your thoughts as long as it's technically feasible.
Yeah. So I kind of refer this as these reports have been skipized, all right, or skip enabled. So as we go through this, I realize that when I sat down to create some of this content, to get some of this stuff rolling, you know, my fingers from my experience, you know, they want to type EN and enter, and then I want to type config T, enter, and then I want to start, you know, jumping into some stuff. And when Skip has to use complete sentences, well, now, you know, that's a challenge. So I like these sort of things because some of you guys are great at this. I've seen your content and it's just awesome. Maybe there's some folks out there like me who kind of struggle getting some of this stuff up and running. And when you get a framework like this, then all you got to do is make some basic wordsmithing stuff, some edits. Adam was helping me some stuff one day. We got some new blog stuff coming out, and I was like, I just need some bumpers on the lane. Give me some bumpers, and I can go to town from there. And so use these very much like that. Miles has a term he uses often. I think it's great. It's inspirational material. So this is not requirements. You don't have to fit. Don't look at this as a long list of to do. Look at this as a long list of possibilities.
Yep. And I like to think of we in engineering and in technical field we like practicality. We like things that work. Again, Skip used the word conf T. Some of us grew up with command line and grew to love it. Some of us really like the GUI, and some of us just are a hybrid of both. Like I've gotten to the point where I like the sex appeal of a website and I like to be practical, but it's rare that you see that function and form really meshed well. Like you look at the Google homepage. I love the fact that it's just Google. It's not like 1,000 things are slamming me in the face like Yahoo or Lycos did back in the day. I just have a simple, what do you want to know today? And so elegance is hard to balance in design. And so with our reports, that's part of it. It's like we have all this going on and we can tell our clients, what do you want to know? And it's presented in a way that makes you look like $1 million. There's some people that put on a suit. So what my example, some people put on a suit and they still look like crap because there's not much, there's no content there that, you know, as this person's wearing a nice suit, it looks nice, but then what comes out of their mouth, you're like, what? But then you have that person who goes up there wearing a polo and khakis and is an absolute expert. You're like, oh my gosh, I love this. But you have somebody who's very well presented and put together and has a really good presentation and their content is valuable. I can count the number of times I've seen that at a conference on one hand.
Yeah.
And you want to be that person when you walk into the room, when you're pitching a new feature or a new client, you want to be that count on one hand. Oh my gosh, that was totally different. And
Yeah.
that's why I have a marketing company pour efforts in. And when I mean marketing company, I don't mean some guy I found on the street. I mean an actual like company that makes me look good. Helped us come with things like humanize IT and the stylized, you know, this is a H, but it's an I and a T. If you never caught that.
Mm-hmm.
The I in the humanize it is a little person. And they come up with little things like that I would never have thought of. I would have slapped an H from avant-garde and called it good. And it would have been fine. And no one would have ever complained. But you look at the humanized IT now and you see it as, oh, well, that's neat. Why? It makes me feel professional. Why? And that's the power of design. So when you as a capable company can come in and deliver, that's great. But if you can look sexy and deliver, even better. And no, Bob, we're not talking about chainmail bikinis or anything. We're talking about actually looking good. I had to beat them to the punch. So anyways, yeah, I talk to my kids about that all the time. You need to look professional and it sets the tone. And then you have to deliver on that. You can't just walk into a room with a tuxedo and everybody treat you like you're a billionaire. You can't just walk in with a bunch of knowledge and and dump it on them and expect them to see you as an expert. Merge the two, and that's that design, and that's what we've done for you. It's already done for you. That's the beauty of the humanized IT. Is that when this new, we'll just copy and paste this out to the new report templates, and you'll just be able to do it yourself. It'll take me 5 minutes, well, maybe 10.
Yeah. As
long as Skip gives me the thumbs up that it works for him. If it's Skip proof, then that's the final. So hopefully you guys will all see that come out here in the next few days. We'll copy it over to, it'll be on the 4 main HIT reports. Sweet. All right, with that, I'm going to move into the chat because it looks like the chat is going crazy today. And we need to make it like the chat more open so everybody can see the chat go by rather than just panelists.
Bunch of nerds trying to be funny.
So today, we're still in the service delivery quarter. Uh-oh. We're still in the service delivery quarter. I don't know what happened there. That was weird. And the problem with service is that how do you deliver what? Should I deliver the gold package? Should I deliver my platinum package? Should I give them 24/7? Should I meet with them every month? Should I meet with them every quarter? Should I meet with them once a year? And as we all know, like off top of our heads, we can kind of gauge this. Like, I'm going to meet this guy once a year, and that's going to be at their $500 a month customer. And I'm going to take my $5,000 to $10,000 a month customer, and I'm going to meet with them every month. But what about the rest of your employees? How does that scale? And so how do you categorize your customers so that you know what activities to do when? And that's where I hand it over to, let's see here, point this direction, over to Skip, where he is the expert on categorization. He's got his spreadsheets, he's got all of his fancy talks. And so he is like the go-to guy on how to categorize and how to deliver playbooks to the right customer so you're not overworking yourself or underselling yourself. So Skip, take it away.
All right. Yes, I am very excited about this. I'll go ahead and throw this out. I'll probably say it again, but Skip at virtualc.biz. If you want to talk more about this, I love talking about playbooks. I have a very personal and passionate connection to this because my first real management job, and I played several pseudo manager jobs throughout my career, but where I had very tangible, very realistic management job. It was me and one other guy, and we reported to the owner of the company. So this little, executive triad here, and we would get together and we'd have these strategy sessions, and we'd come up with these great plans and these initiatives that we wanted to work on, and we would jump out there and we would start, and 3 or 6 months later, we would circle back around and we'd all look around and go, crap, we didn't get any of that done. And it was just so frustrating because they were valid plans. They met specific needs. They were, we probably list off the SMART goals, the specific, measurable, and all those things. But the problem is I lacked, some sort of framework that would help me do this. And here's where, ConnectWise or Autotask or Kaseya, whatever you're using, you have the ability to create all these activities or tickets or however you want to do this. But what I see and my personal experience is that, these can become oppressive. You can beat yourself to death with tickets. And so what we need is a tool that allows us to engage at a much higher level. And hold on, Adam, don't get the crayons out. But if you've seen Adam's series, it's got 5, tiers of employees. And it's really great because it highlights the areas that we need to talk to in different relationships. But here's the twist. When we're talking to those high-level executives, the C-suite, the senior managements, the key stakeholders in an organization, you can't fit that into a canned presentation. It has to be more of an intellectual discussion. So before Adam jumps off here into his whiteboard, let me go ahead and share my screen, and we'll show how we start getting in on this. Oh. Can I share? You're sharing. You released it yet, Adam?
I was just fixing my my desktop share.
Come on. But,
got it?
Still says another participant is sharing.
Oh, I know what's going on. Why don't you stop? How about I stop sharing the audio?
The little bits.
This is interesting.
All right, I'll wait till that green bar goes away. So as this high level discussions happen, there we go. We need to make sure that we have some tools that are going to help us get there, and basically provide that framework that I talked about that we're going to look at. So there was a long setup, and now I'm going to take you back in a different direction. how do we get there? Okay. That's where we need to get. We got some sort of framework that says, you know, we're going to meet with people on multiple levels. Some of them are really high that there is no format for, to some extent. Some are very, cookie cutter. We're going to call them up. We're going to go through, questions A, B, and C. But how do we get to that point? So many of you will recognize this screen here. This is, if you've been through, I don't know how many different course this is in from Managed Service Platform. This is Danish's old Google Doc about segmenting your clients. So if you don't have one of these handy, hit me up and I can shoot you a new copy of this. But it's really straightforward. The numbers here actually break down a little bit simpler than what I would probably expect to see in most of your organizations, but it works for our example here. So company name, MRR. Again, I'll restate this. This has proven itself over and over again. If you've got a whale, if this guy is actually, $38,000 a year, a month or something, some just, fantastical sort of number, delete that. Okay. Just take the whale out of the equation, because that is really going to mess with all your numbers going forward. So once we get that in here and we get these bracketed down to 3 particular sections. And again, what we want to do here, let's see if my numbers still add up. So we got about 48K in the A group. We should have, okay, we're 40K in the B group, and we're 28K in the C group. So I would say this segmentation is a little off balance. All right. So we really do want to take this kind of rule of thirds here and break our revenue groups into 3 different segments. And what that's going to do, I mean, this is not some sort of hard empirical number. What it's going to give you is an estimate. All right. It really is just a budget estimate of how many hours per year you're going to spend in your client's environment doing client engagement activities. All right. And that is very open-ended. So let me pause here and say, I do not think that you guys out there are not doing any client engagement. All right. Even some of the brand new clients that we bring on board, who've brand new to the platform, they're excited about this. I'm not saying that you guys aren't doing any of this in client engagement. What I'm saying is probably it's ad hoc. It's certainly a lot less managed than what you would probably want. So what we want to do is create a framework. There are going to be some hours we may have to add. We may not actually. Once you kind of get all this together, you may realize that you aren't spending any more hours in this type of activities, that just you get more for the hours that you are spending. So anyway, we'll come up with, however we get there, we come up with a budget of hours. And it really, I don't want you to get wrapped around, is this enough numbers? Is this, not enough numbers? This is an estimate, and it's based simply on the MRR to give you a space to start with. All right. So we've got that down. As you're running through the spreadsheet, just a quick tip, the items, the columns in gray are calculated. The columns in white are up for you to fill out. All right. So my process on this, I would take the B segment here. I would come over and I would grab from the top B client all the way down to my bottom B client. And then I'd go down here and, do the quick look, and it's an average of 4.2 hours. Okay. And so I say, all right, that's my estimated budget. Do I agree with that number? Does 4.2 sound about right on a monthly basis? Okay. And it's calculated on a monthly, or, we can multiply it up, and I'm going to go, you know what? I think 4.2 may be a little shy. I think I'm going to come back up here a little bit more, and I'm going to make it 5. I'm going to give 5 hours a month on average, to all of my B clients. So you plug that in, it's going to give you an annual, and then you can start slicing and dicing here if you want, so that you can work through it, and it'll even total it up for you. Hey, we're going to do, well, let's do it here, so we'll see how that routes out. We're going to do 20 hours and some sort of annual activities or quarterly stuff, is going to be 45, and wow, now I'm already over budget. All right. So that'd be a quick and easy way to do that. But that's a little high end. So I think the best route is to, once you get here, through column G to H, I would say stop here. All right. And then kind of decide a little bit more about what are you going to do with those? And that's where I've added another tab to the spreadsheet. If you want this one, send me a message, skip at virtualc.biz. I'll get it out right there in a second. And I'll send this over to you. And what I've really done here is just pulled my numbers from the first sheet and dropped them in here. And now I have inspirational material. All right. I will say this is just a series of suggestions for you. And as you go through here and you say, hey, that annual IT strategy session that Adam and Skip already talked about, that looks pretty cool. I want to do the big one. I want to do the SWOT analysis like they're talking about. All right. But I don't think I can do it with all my clients. That's too much. I'd say that sounds great. Let's go ahead and let's get an estimate. I mean, from your prep time, your delivery time, maybe drive time, whatever, how much time do you think it's going to take to do that engagement? Well, maybe about 6 hours. Awesome. We'll plug that in. All right. So now we've got, for our big A clients, we're going to do that big annual engagement once a year, and it's going to take 6 hours out of our big budget of time, our 168 hours. All right. And so we keep on. Maybe you can't do that quite a big, honking SWOT analysis, deep dive sort of deal, but you're going to do an annual technology assessment. All right. And you are going to ask some of those questions and like, hey, I can do that, for my B clients, we can do that. And I think it's going to take a little less time than, maybe 6 hours. So anyway, you go down this list until you're confident that you are delivering a complete set of engagements to your client that is going to allow you to meet with them in those 4 competency areas that we're talking about, those 4 roles that we talk about pretty often as well. So I should have brought up the graphic, but I'll use my hands. So we got the quadrant, right? So we got the quadrant, and on our y-axis we got what was it, technical to tactical, I think, and then, or technical to business, and then on the x-axis we've got technical to tactical, one way or the other. But so in that bottom left, we get, it's very IT driven, and many times you are that bottom left quadrant even within the client organization. All right. And we flip this around several times. But as we move out through this quadrant, we get more into operational stuff, and we talk to office manager type people. And then sometimes we get a little bit more pseudo strategic. We're talking about project planning and project spend, perhaps. And so we'll talk to CFOs or maybe COOs. But then there's also that opposite quadrant from the technical one, and that's purely strategic. We're talking to business owners, we're talking to the business leaders, and we're like, hey, how is technology going to impact your business? How are you guys going to make money? And so we get that full spectrum of activities. And as long as we have activities, engagements planned out throughout the year that engage with all of those 3 or 4 quadrants, kind of depending on the size of your clients, as long as we engage with those every year, I'm confident that you're going to grow your business and you're going to create a much, much stronger relationship with your clients.
Yeah, and I can speak firsthand here in that anybody who's known me for the last few years knows that like I've spent my fair share of time in the management, VCIO, IT leader role. And this is pretty accurate. This is based upon a lot of thought, and I can say from my firsthand experience that this is accurate in that you look at the C customer there. Let's say you've got a simple customer like a flower shop, or they have like 3 different locations that you're servicing, and do you need to meet with them, do stakeholder interviews all the time? Do you need to do lunch and learns? No. What they need to know is there a new kiosk system available for them? Is there a better way for their shops to communicate together to process orders? And that's your annual review or just a quarterly review. And
Absolutely.
so these are the little, like, just a touch point. Is everything going okay? But then you move up to the B client, where now if you look at show their client segmentation over there, Skip.
Mhm.
So the B clients, you're looking at like 4,000 a month. Okay, so now you're getting pretty busy, and for some MSPs, this is your bread and butter. These are the people that you really want to take care of. So we go back up to the budget and click on the budget. And you see that now we have more things to do, not because we feel like we need to give them something more because they're paying more, but because to manage that level of activity for a $5,000 a month client, we gotta check more things. So that technology assessment session, rather than just doing the assessment on the back end, we may have to go in and talk to them a little bit more. We probably want to start doing some key stakeholder interviews, talk to like one or two team leads there, just to verify that we have everything right. Whereas the flower shops, they're just a bunch of kiosks. Like, they don't even work on computers half the time. They work in the cloud. They have their email clients and they receive orders. And that's about it. Whereas the B clients are sitting there with entire office spaces and different departments. And then by the time you get to the A clients, now you're starting to behave more like an internal IT department. And these are the expectations that every IT department I've ever worked in has. So, you're seeing these clients that are burgeoning on where they need an internal IT department. And the reason that they'll start getting internal IT departments is because they don't feel cared for. They feel like they need a full-time employee. So
Yeah.
you look over there at 69.75 hours. That's not a full-time employee, not by a long shot. But also on the back end of this, you have your engineers working. How
Yes.
many billable hours per
That
team?
time is separate. That is separate time.
Completely separate. This is just taking care of administrative duties and making sure the client feels like everything's going well. And then you have somebody advocating for the client and saying, "Hey, you know what? They have a lot of wireless problems, and they haven't really complained about it that much. But compared to everybody else we work with, let's figure that out." And you get that from meeting with them on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. And I've had clients where I met with on a weekly basis, and because I did, I built up a better reputation with them, and I was more in tune to the operational complications that were going on. How many problems were they solving internally and not filling out tickets for? How often was the head of the department having just issues and like, oh, Adam's going to be here on Thursday. They know they can stop in and say, hey, Adam was here for an hour. Let me
Yeah.
just tell them, like, hey, can you figure out some way to make this stop happening because my classrooms are shutting down, or I cannot present to staff at meetings. Those little incidental things are happening because this is a larger business, and you're getting those conversations and you're building up that trust with all the employees. So when you make a recommendation to this large client, when you ask them to spend an extra $100,000 in a year, which sounds like a lot, but it's not to them, not at this level, that you've
Yeah.
already got the trust and they're more likely to listen to you. So you want those touch points. You want that increased engagement. You do not want to do this level of activity for a flower shop. You do
Right.
not want to do this level of activity for somebody with 20 people inside their house that's only operating on 10 PCs. You do want to do this when your client is spending more than that $5,000 mark and you're sitting there and they're relying on you for their business. That is somebody who's going to grow, and you're going to help them grow, and you're going to seek out opportunities for them. And by following and classifying, you can now say, oh man, we took on another A client. Does my VCI, does my account manager have time to do this?
Yes.
And yes, as Bob pointed out, client maturity is critical as well. And so the one caveat I like to bring up at this point in time is that if you've got a low maturity client, they may behave like an A for the first 6 months. They may need that level of involvement. Yes. And so be on the lookout for those. When you're doing your service audits, if this is somebody who is obviously an immature organization, you're going to need to baby them for a while, and you're going to want to think about that. And we don't have a category for that, though. You basically you know this is a good client, you know they're coming in, you know they're immature, and they're going to behave like an A client for that first 6 months while you ramp up a ton of projects.
Well, now in the tool, you
We
can
do have a category, it's not safe for work.
well, no, so we've got an onboarding category that's pre-built in there, but you can build out, whatever you want. What the one is a couple of things I've seen is we get an onboarding category or we get an at-risk category. And interestingly enough, once you look at them, they're about the same. So, you may just want to call it the squeaky wheel category. I don't know, whatever you want to put in there. And that from a practical standpoint, you can use the tool to do that, to launch with this playbook, based on segments and say, hey, this is our plan. However, we're going to come back and as clients come on board, before they get dropped in their official segment, we're going to run them for 6 months through, the squeaky wheel playbook or the onboarding playbook, whatever it is. Or if you get a client who is at risk and you think, man, they just had a merger, we may lose these guys, something, whatever, you can flip them over so that you're doing the things that you want to do. And that's, I think, really the interesting part about playbooks. It's not so much that I think any of us have to be convinced that these are good ideas. It's just we need our teams and our businesses need a framework. They need a structure so that this happens without us just trying to remember, oh yeah, I need to, schedule a lunch meeting with these guys just so I can catch up with them. All right. And we also don't need to necessarily fill up, ConnectWise with another 1,000 recurring tickets on this or that. I think we can afford ourselves the ability to think a little bit. Let's just put some guideposts out there for us to keep us on track. So that being said, here is the list of things. I'm going to give you guys a quick pick. Some of you have seen it. You'll recognize the audacious colors. Oh, let's see. Share this one. So I've intentionally not added to this in many years because I want it to be strictly inspirational. I look at some of this and cringe, but this is a list of suggested engagements. And it comes from the managed service platform material, but I took this and worked it over and twisted it this way and that. So if you want this, it's nothing. Again, I purposely don't try to make it any better than what it was 4 or 5 years ago when I put this thing together.
This is an example of when 877 was not involved in
yes,
the
yes,
marketing
absolutely.
and the beautification.
Or it's another example of
Very functional though.
Anything worth doing is worth overdoing, right? And so all these tabs are just multiple slices and dices of the exact same information. And then yeah, anything worth doing is worth overdoing. All right, so but what this will lead you to is basically you can build up the arrows in your quiver, the plays in your playbook, the cards in your deck, whatever it is, you have a series of those. So here's my real practical tip for you guys, no matter where you are on this process, small to big, new to mature in this, it doesn't matter. All right. If you've got this going, let's take it as an audit. All right. If you're brand new, let's take this as, starter fluid. Okay. Take your B clients right now. And especially if you've got something in place, check yourself. All right. How are you doing? Are you spending the time that you thought you were going to spend on these clients? Are you brand new in this process? Take a swag, guess, scientific wild ass guess, right? Take some sort of guess on this and say, hey, how much time?
Are you waiting for the rim shot on that one because it wasn't going to happen?
Yeah, well, you got it available.
I'd rather.
That's better. That's much better. That's right. So take those two numbers, line them up with your actual estimate here. All right. See what comes out, but really focus on your B segment, because here's what I know. All right. Your B segment by and large, is your highest margin group. All right. I know from, again, personal experience and many, many conversations with you guys, you would love to have 5 really good B clients versus 1 equal value A client. All right. It's better business to have that. So the B group really is your sweet spot. So build out a playbook targeting those B guys. See what works for you. Can you do key stakeholder interviews? I love them. But do they just crash and burn with you guys? Fine, scrap it. I mean, this is no, empirical rules here. Find the playbook that works good for your
Yeah.
organization.
So when kind of Skip is saying is, they're like, yeah, reallocate these hours to what
Mhm.
fits. So lunch and learns may not be the best for you guys, but taking the client out to lunch,
Yeah.
dropping off donuts on a Friday as a thank you 7 times a year. Seems like a lot, but come on, guys. A box of donuts is in Nebraska is $20. And
Let
I
me
tell
tell
you what, pro tip as a manager, for that 40, so that $80 a month that I spent on departments buying donuts
you. Yeah.
made me a hero in the workplace. They knew that when Adam showed up in that department that they got donuts that day. And I
Yeah.
always bought the nice donuts, like the rolls. I don't know what you guys call them in your area, what term it is, but like the good jelly filled and stuff like that. They know that when I show up, I drop it off, and that's an impression. And it's something you can do. So that lunch and learn may not be a full-on presentation you have to create. It could simply be that on a Friday once a month you come by and you drop a box of donuts off at a client saying, "Hey, how are things going?" Or it could be your stakeholder interview is you take Beth out to lunch because you know she is the ruler of the entire organization. She's where everything funnels through. And that becomes a key stakeholder interview. And it's extremely valuable to touch base with that person you normally don't talk to.
Yeah.
The touch points work.
Yeah. And so the final step in, evaluating this and starting off with this or double checking your process here is once you've got a playbook, and I would again focus on just the B clients for now. Once you've got a tentative playbook, look at that and then take a few sample clients out of that group. All right. And apply the playbook to them and start looking realistically, who are you going to be talking to in each one of these engagements? And if you look it up and you realize, hey, I've got 5 different plays in my playbook, but I've only got 2 attendees on the list, the master list, and one of those attendees only shows up once a year. Well, I would say you're imbalanced, all right? Because again, one of the other key benefits of these playbooks is to make sure we're talking to the right people. And if the right person is just that one single person in an organization, I would be willing to bet you're missing the mark. There are more people within your clients' organizations that you need to talk to. So obviously, the smaller we go, the fewer the number of people that is. But again, we're talking about our B clients, so not the smallest guys in the room. And it should be, 2, 3, maybe more people that you should be talking to. So make sure that list is balanced, that we're delivering engagements that go across our spectrum of tactical versus technical, business to strategic, and that will allow you, that's the beauty of a framework, and it's one of the values of the HIT framework is we deliver a process that doesn't have any gaping holes in it. We're not focusing on just this one area or going overboard in one area. We can provide a well-rounded, complete coverage to your clients, and this playbook's what's going to keep you on track.
Yep.
After you do that, add some moves to make it for the A group, take some off for the C group. We'll figure that out later. Let's focus on the Bs. Let's audit ourselves to see how we're doing, or let's build to get some momentum going.
Yep. And again, like some of these may feel like they're a lot, some may feel like they're too little, but it's all about like standardizing it so that you know it works for you. The last thing we have today is I'm going to personally invite anybody on this call to I would like to do our first ever podcast, Drinks with IT Guys, here in, I think the 23rd is the date I'm looking at.
Mm.
It'd be like a Friday around 1 o'clock. And if we could have like two people who want to join in, and the idea is that we're going to talk shop for about 20-30 minutes, and it will become a podcast episode. We're going to do this once a month. And Bob's familiar with this. I'm sure he's going to be in, but the idea is it's a Friday afternoon where we talk shop, we talk about what's going on in the IT industry. It's very loose, non-structured, and it will become a once a month podcast as part of the Humanized IT podcast for those of you who listen to it. The idea is just to show just a standard conversations, and sitting around with, I'll probably have my whiskey over here, and Skip will have his Diet Coke or whatever he has.
Diet Coke, no. Soda water.
Soda water. Sorry, Texas.
That's right.
And so send me an email. I'll get you on the invite, and it'll probably be like the 23rd in the afternoon, probably between 1 and 2, because I don't like to work too late on Fridays because I'm lazy. Anyways, reach out if you want to be part of that. If I can't get you in this Friday or this 23rd, then it'll probably be, the next one will be in May around, what would be the 21st will be about the next one. So we try to get a good rolling amount. I might do several in a row just to get a good backlog of them. And then,
so we're going to do
opening up the community here by May 3rd to the rest of MSPL. So no more just, 10 to 20 people coming to a call. We expect a larger group. So if people are interested in peer groups, please let Skip know so he can get some of those started for HIT. But otherwise, this group's gonna get a lot larger. But the invite for the Drinks with IT Guys goes out to you guys first. You could one of the advantages to doing Drinks with IT Guys is you can use this for your own promotional material. Every podcast we create gets turned into a blog and into social media posts. So if you do one, you will immediately have marketing collateral that you can use about a month from the date we do it. So if you do it on the 23rd, the actual episode would air within 4 weeks. So then you can use that to talk to your customers and say, hey, I was on this podcast and we talked about like how people need to be more involved with the web, and you can post a social media post. You'll have a blog post. So, you do get rewarded for being on the podcast, and it looks great for your company. It's great marketing collateral for you to go in and do lead gen with. Your marketing people and your sales people will love it because it's something they can give away to clients for free. Hey, listen to Jeff, listen to Bob talk about this really cool topic. So that's it for this week. Classification of customers. If you want like coaching, if you want us to help you break down your customers, get a month of coaching with Skip. You don't have to sign up for a big long coaching contract. Just get a month of coaching and spend a couple weeks breaking down your clients and be done. It's beautiful. So it works, and we've done it with a lot of customers over the last 4 to 5 years. So
absolutely.
Thanks for everyone for coming on. We'll see you. Send me an email if you want to be part of the podcast. If you want me to get you on the schedule, and we'll see you around.
See you, everyone.